This is in response to Billy's Talking Points memo from Wednesday, May 27th, 2015, Liberal versus Conservative America. And we're in for a good one here with Billy because he's going to spout off some stuff and then go into his moral philosophizing. But he starts out by pointing out there was a recent Gallup poll that indicated that liberals now number 31% of the population, and conservatives 31% also. The first time since 1999 that liberals and conservatives haven't had an edge. And it has actually been a dramatic decline in conservatism, what it has shown. And also, let's see, 10% very conservative, 21% just conservative. That was wrong. 5% very conservative, 26% conservative for conservatives. And then for liberals, 10% very liberal, and then 21% liberal. And Billy decides that this is really not a good thing, and we got to push back against this. There are bad things going on in this country, and it's all the liberals' fault. And it's time to play the big bad blame game, which Billy does very, very well. So number one, he indicates that people are ignorant, and they don't take the time to look into the current issues of today. Also, the media and the net have driven us into a fantasy world. And to prove all of this, he has his sidekick, Jesse Waters, go out and interview some people. And of course, he asks questions that they don't know. And of course, I always like to point out that, you know, they could go out there and get 2 hours of video and everyone answers the questions very well, very liberally, let's just say. And then you go out, you get like 2 minutes of video where people are dumbfounded and don't know anything about what Jesse's asking. And that's what they show on Billy's show, because obviously it's fair and balanced. But the proof is obviously Waters' World. And, you know, Billy believes that only, as I said, only 50% of the people take the time to look into the important issues of the day. And again, he then calls them simpletons who do not haven't figured out what their philosophy of life is. So I know Billy's philosophy of life, and I don't agree with it in any way, shape, or form. I consider it extremely harmful, extremely negative, and unfortunately, he has been able to portray that very, very well to his audience. But he calls people who, let's say, aren't as smart as him or know as much as him, simpletons. You know, I wonder where he was when he was 19 to 22, if someone like Jesse Waters had come up to him and asked him what was going on in the current issues of the day. And of course, he says, you know, it's not just the entertainment industry, which he blames them quite a bit, especially for their gay lifestyle, which they portray so much, but also for the regular news media, you know, which doesn't give the right kind of news. No question about that. And of course, obviously, there are so many more liberal websites than there are conservative websites. What's a conservative to do? But again, you know, marginalizing himself, saying that he's special, that his audience is special, they're the ones that know, everyone else is a simpleton, a dummkopf, a dummy. You know, it then goes into a couple of statistics indicating, you know, why people are more liberal now than they were in 1999, 2001. You know, 40% of the people approved of the gay lifestyle. Now it's 63%. That's gone up quite a bit. And in terms of a woman having a single parent, you know, having children outside of marriage, you know, in 2001 or so, 45%, now 61%. So it's up quite a bit. The abortion numbers haven't changed very much. And Billy points out that we should always honor life unless there are drastic medical conditions. but he doesn't indicate that if there are drastic medical conditions. You know, as an example, the fetus has died in utero. Number two, there is this happened to someone that I know, that the child never developed a brain. It went full term and died within 2 minutes. The parents did not know ahead of time because they did not do a sonogram. They were devastated. Should someone like that have the right? He doesn't go into that. And he also indicates that people are appalled by adultery. And of course, that's the way it should be. And that when people go into a relationship like that, they have that feeling of trust, that they can trust that person. And of course, that is probably the greatest violation of trust that can be done. And I would agree to that because I know how that feels. Of course, with adultery, he's got to put some schmack down in there. So he says, well, America is not France. Now, of course, I don't know any of the statistics in France, but he just uses that to do that. And then he goes into the next tirade of the whole thing. But basically, the whole thing is he's blaming the liberal media, he's blaming the entertainment industry, he's blaming the internet as a fantasy world, and that people are simpletons because they don't want to take the time to figure out what's really going on, because if they did, they'd be more conservative. Even though he indicated that there was the same study that indicated people are more fiscally conservative than they are liberal. I consider myself a progressive capitalist because I want people to make money. I want people to invest money. I want people to work hard. I want new inventions. And that is what I would call progressive capitalism. We have much more of a crony capitalist system, which Billy and his ilk are continuing to advocate day in and day out. And so Billy wants to go into Obama bashing at the end because the world is a hell in a handbasket, and God help the next president of the United States. So he has to go in terms of bashing Obama, in terms of not being a leader because of all the terrorism that's going on, and the fact that, there might be another economic collapse, and the school system is just going to go downhill because the public school system, so he's putting his dig in for an advocacy for more of the charter school types of things. But of course, it's all Obama's fault. And then also the fact that we are striving to legalize marijuana. And of course, he feels if marijuana is legalized, then we will have marijuana and other drugs. We will have millions upon addicts that will stymie initiative, drive, desire, that type of thing. But just to wrap it up, conservatives are advocating for a way of life that existed before 1950. And liberals are saying the world has changed. We need to adapt ourselves to the world. There are so many things that need to be done. And in many of those instances, we need the help of the government to get them done and done correctly, because they cannot be done by the private sector. That's something Billy will never, ever accept. And that's why it almost seems like he hates America, because all he wants to do is trash it all the time. Enough.